Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy long-term free agency deadline day coming up. Happy lot of stuff happening in the league day, etc., etc., etc. This is your commish doing a little recap. Happy to myself for being undefeated again last week. Looking strong overall as far as my picks go. Chiming in, doing a little recap for us, kind of seeing what we're looking at, who's on the outside looking in, how are we looking the playoff hunt, just a few little small updates that I've been working on as well a little bit. And I know Eric's going to have his little segment tomorrow on top of this. So between everything, I think we should be able to get a lot of questions fielded and answered. I know I've been in contact with multiple members of the league today asking a lot of detailed questions as far as what to do with their players, as far as when is the drop deadlines, what can we look for in the future, what are the draft pick situations look like, what's the salary, etc. I've been able to answer a lot of those questions. Most of those, again, are in the rules, which I know are not entrenched in anybody's head by this point in time. But that's what I do reference, just so you guys know, whenever you guys do ask me these questions. So I know there are a few different rule changes that are coming into play. Remember to vote on those tonight. I put up a little question earlier about should we go ahead and put this rule into effect right away, or is this something we need to look forward to in 2014? I've given it a lot of thought. Unfortunately for some, fortunately for others, I think we need to adapt the rule change as far as 2014 goes. Why, you ask? Because people have already benefited in 2013, quote-unquote benefited. So if I stop the rule now, then that basically separates it to say, hey, these people who have already benefited in the previous few weeks now have a clear advantage over everybody else for the next few weeks, and I don't think that's right. So the rule change will not go into effect until 2014. My final announcement, I've listened to a couple of the different people who have commented, a couple of people have texted, filled in their information, etc. And really, this doesn't benefit me at all, to be honest with you. It absolutely hurts me, so that has no impact on my decision either. But I just think for the overall fairness of the league, that's where we're going to be at. So that kind of answers that question where everybody is when it comes to the rule change that will take place as of tomorrow, well, as of midnight tonight, I guess, based on the voting of the league. To update you on my picks, I went 6-0 this week. I'm sure nobody cares, but I care myself. To bring my record to a resounding 39-21, much better than the Swami himself from ESPN. I feel like I know your guys' teams better than I know. Nope, I know the NFL pretty well too. Equally as good as I know the NFL, basically, at this point. So I'll go ahead and hop into it, give you just some of my thoughts, my feelings, my good, bad, and the ugly throughout. And speaking of ugly, we'll start with Andy Helmholtz and his performance against myself this week. 95 points. First glance, I'm thinking I'm playing Mike Samuels, maybe Derek Naberta, possibly Jared Bonk, in the past. I'm playing the former 9-1 overall leader of the league, Andy Helmholtz, with 95 points. Guys, Andy's team stinks. He's not strong. Knock him out. There's no reason why he should be in first place overall. It hurts me to think his division's this bad, this stinking bad overall, that he is at 9-2 in first overall. Doug, I believe it's Jared, you guys should be disgraced by this point in time. I'm absolutely disgusted with the whole North Division. By far the weakest division possible. Take it as you wish. Take it as a burn. I don't know. There's no reason Andy should be 9-2 is what it comes down to. So I took care of the ugly this week. I took care of Andy. 209-95. This may actually be, if not the biggest blowout, one of the most biggest blowouts that we've had in the league history overall. Again, the headline, as I comment about myself, typically powered by the big three. I typically like to have my big three. I don't know who it's going to be every week. My big three this week, McCoy, Calvin Johnson, Vincent Jackson, put up nearly a combined 100 points for me. My three players outscored all of Andy's team. On top of that, I have Wilson and Forte with both over 22, 23 points. To give you just a deeper idea of this matchup, Andy's high score was Pierre Thomas at 13.4 points. My lowest score outside my kicker was Le'Veon Bell at 12.8. It shows the strength. It shows the strength of my team, shows the weakness of Andy's team. I hope Andy continues to get knocked down. There's no reason he should be in the place he is. Take it as you wish, Andy. I also talked trash to you all Sunday. I didn't get one rebuttal. Very disappointed. Eric, if you could, please go ahead and discount him any necessary points they have for participation points. I want him to get double negatives because of this. Next game, I obviously picked that one as the victory. Dutch Oven versus Duke. This was probably the biggest heartbreaker, again, if not for the week, possibly for the year. This battle basically decided who was going to be second in our division, the West. Not only that, but also gave this person a key little draw into the possible 5th or 6th playoff spot. And Scott, for those who didn't watch the game, Scott basically won on the last second because Brady did not throw a touchdown pass. And in fact, the refs went ahead and called a penalty initially on the Panthers. They then picked it up, didn't give Brady the chance. As a result, Scott wins, Derek loses. That is the difference, and possibly the playoffs. Difference in a lot of money, possibly too, because of one call. Granted, it's one game in the course of a season. There's a lot of things that happen. Heartbreaker, though. I feel bad on both ends. I would have felt bad if Scott lost. I would have felt bad if Derek lost. Either way, for Scott's team, another consistently strong effort. He put up 156 points, which was second to myself as far as overall scoring for the week. Another very, very solid output for him, led by Antonio Brown and Cam Newton, both over 32 points. Chris Johnson started him off strong with over 21 on Thursday night. Just an all-around great performance. And a couple people, even Jordan Reed, got injured right at the beginning of the game. Only put up 2, but those 2 points really helped out in the whole significance of the game. Derek's team, he actually had a very solid output again from everybody. Outside of Riley Cooper and San Antonio Holmes, he had every person on his team in double digits. I know he was kind of thinking, hey, do I put in Tom Brady necessarily? Do I put in some of these other options? He proved to start a lot of the correct players throughout. In fact, all of the correct players. Everybody on his starters outputted his bench. He started his best team possible. So, good game overall by our division. Again, it just stinks to be in our division. Scott moves to 6-5. 5th overall, 2nd in our division. Derek drops to 7th overall, 5-6, and 3rd in our division. And the next game, we have the Prodigy against Team 10. I mentioned in the preview, this game was going to be a lot closer than most people thought. Team 10, Jared, has started to come around a lot more, and at least can put up a decent fight. He put up almost 120 points this week. And, it's no thanks to somebody like Cecil Shorts, who's supposed to be targeted huge because of Justin Blackmon, because they don't have a big receiving core otherwise. He puts up a whole 4 points. The other side of things, Keenan Allen got hurt midway through his game, only 7.5 points. So a couple things came back to hurt him / haunt him. If he would have started, for example, Colston over Allen, would have started a different kicker, he could have beat the Prodigy. But then again, I think he started the right team that was out there. Over on Doug's side, he got a huge game again from RG3. Looks like RG3 is back. I'm a big RG3 fan. I'm happy for him, is what it is. And Gronkowski on the last night of the week came through with 17 to propel him to the victory. He also made a big change, just dropped Kaepernick. It'll be interesting to see how who ends up picking him up, what ends up happening. He did not drop Richardson. A little mini surprise for myself. But, he's evidently sticking to a strategy. Doug moves to 5-6 overall, which is good for 8th. Jared drops to 2-9, which is good for still dead last overall. And Doug is trying to stay in the playoff hunt. He has the same record as Eric, has the same record as Derek Lehman, has the same record as Derek M., and is 1 game behind the likes of Scott. So Douglas will be rooting against Scott basically for the rest of the year and hopes to make the playoffs. In our next game, we have the Rectal Renegades against May the Swartz be with you. Obviously, this was a loss for Derek Lehman because he has a Detroit Lions reference for his team. And The Rectal Renegades made the Swartz be with you with Terrell Pryor falling flat in defeat, aka he didn't play. If Derek Lehman would have actually started a team and started a team correctly, he would have beat Jason, which, again, not only cost him more than $10, it could have cost him the division win, which there's money involved with that. Could have cost him some playoffs, victories. There's money as far as that goes. It comes down to, at the beginning of the year, we talked about a little bit of dedication to the league, and obviously he doesn't have it. Terrell Pryor put up 0 for him. Manningham 1.8, Eifert 2.5, McGee 3.7, and he was still in the game. Luckily for Jason, Marshawn Lynch, he had 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 receiving, put up 27 points. He had LaFell, huge game for Brandon LaFell, about 19 points. Manning, although, again, like I mentioned previously, I don't think he has a huge game. He might put up in the low 20s. He put up 17. So, this was a week where Jason was vulnerable and he was not taken advantage of. Take that as you wish. And, again, Derek Lehman had Alex Smith on his bench, 26.5 points. You put him in instead of Pryor, who was injured. That's a victory. Interesting concept. For Jason, he moves to 8-3, 3rd overall, 2nd in his division, and Derek is on a 5-game losing streak, still 1st in his division, on top of the Vinegar Strokes. Wow. Speaking of the Vinegar Strokes, here we are. Eric put the beat down on Mike Dicka, 135-84. Derek Naberta still stays 11th place overall, losers of 4 in a row. Eric is in 9th place overall, still 2nd in his division after this victory. Looking at everything a little bit deeper, as we typically do here. I love Mike Dicka. If he could field a team, he would actually have a pretty decent team. But when you're getting empty zeros from Brown and Rudolph because you can't start a team, you're not going to have a good performance. Stafford put up 27. That's all I have to say about Dicka. Nice work, Stafford. For the Vinegar Strokes, though, big pickup of Foles, big pickup of Jennings, both over 22 points. Nice work. Gordon, player of the week for him with over 23. A while ago he traded for Hopkins. Thought he would be a great starter for him. Only 1.7 points. Spoke highly of Ellington. Only 3.3 points. So a couple of his young guns, I know he loves the future production of them, really are not performing right now. So something to think about for Eric. What do I do this next week? What do I do come playoff time? Maybe bench some of the young guys. Maybe they're wearing out. Who knows? And on to our final game. Pierce Brosnan over the final Answer. Pick Pierce Brosnan, obviously, because the final Answer probably won't win a game the rest of the year. Mr. Samuels. And for Pierce Brosnan, this is a 4-game winning streak, and for Mike, a 3-game losing streak. Mike drops to 3-8 overall, 10th overall as a whole, and last in his division, while Dustin continues to be in 1st place in his division, 9-2 overall with a 4-game winning streak. Dustin largely has to thank, of all people, Garrett Graham for the big week, over 24.5 points. He also can thank Vinatieri, 18 points, his 3rd leading scorer on his team. His Giants paid off for him this week, as between Cruz and Randall, they scored over 31 points. Nice week by the Giants equals a nice week for Dustin overall, and helps him out with the victory. While Mr. Samuels decided to start redoing his roster completely for the future. He dropped Steven Jackson, who only gave him 8.5. He dropped Arian Foster, who's on the IR. Work on some cap room in the future. He's given up on this year. On the other side, as he's rebuilding, Manuel put up 22.5 plus points for him this week. That was via trade. Play off the free agency wire, 21 points. So he has a couple young people that could continue to be a big deal for him long term. He possibly needs to work on his roster a little bit better every week. If he started Donald Brown, started Roethlisberger, he wins for the week. Probably pulls one of the biggest upsets of the whole season as well. Instead, another loss. So let's look at things as a whole really quickly before I sign off here. Let me see. I got 30 seconds. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do a phase 2 to this. I'll be back.